The year is 1986. I roll up to my best friend's house and my sweet, sweet new ride. Just like every kid my age, I'm rolling around in a car that's old. Almost as old as me. I'm picking my buddy up in my brand new, to me, 1977 Chevrolet Monte Carlo Coupe. Yeah, it's the 80s, and two doors are what every kid wants. Whether it be an Oldsmobile Delta Coupe, a Chevrolet Monte Carlo, or even a Dodge Magnum. Hell, you can even get a K-Car Coupe if you don't have all the cash. And if you're really down on your luck, you might settle for a Citation Coupe. Yes, there's coupe models everywhere. Because it's the 80s and no kid wants to roll around in mom and dad's station wagon or sedan. We all want that cool two-door ride. And as my friend comes out and notices how sweet the 77 Monte Carlo Coupe is, he realizes this is something that's going to make us look good. But as we pick up more and more of our friends, we start to realize that it's harder and harder to get people into the back seat. We have to push the seat forward and they all squeeze in. Yeah, the 77 Monte Carlo is amazing. You can fit a lot of people in it. But getting in and out, especially when you get pulled over by the cops, ain't that fun. So as generations go by and as coupes evolve and change, and even companies like Saturn bring out a third door, what really can change for this product? Enter the late 2010s and a company called BMW who gives birth to the next generation of the coupe marketplace. AutoLooks.net Autopod, streaming day or night, coming right at you, right here, right now. Welcome back to AutoLooks. I'm your host, the doctor to the car, Mr. Everett J himself. And this week we're taking a look at the Coupe CUV marketplace and how it is changing and evolving the coupe marketplace for all of them. Yes, this is Everett from AutoLooks, AutoLooks.net. Keep following our Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Podbeam, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and whatever else we have kicking around on our page. Keep following us, keep liking us to keep up to date with all of what AutoLooks has to offer. Yes, like I said, this week we're taking a look at the Coupe CUV marketplace. Yes, the coupe marketplace has been around for a long time, almost as long as the sedan market. It has evolved and it has changed. Where the original coupe marketplace were vehicles built for the B2C travels of regular people or high-end people to look good in. No, the coupe marketplace has evolved and changed over time, and as coupe models have been dropped and disappeared from our product lines, we started to wonder why. But like I said in my intro, it's harder to get your friends into and out of a coupe. And even Saturn, with the Ion Coupe, decided to change that with their third door that opened on the back to make it easier for us to get into and out of their coupe product. But unfortunately, it came too late for the coupe marketplace, whereas by the mid-2000s, everyone was saying no, 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 as sedan designs got way better, and it became just as cool to drive around mom's Mazda 6 as it did your RX-8. The designs were evolving, the designs were changing. Products were looking better and better. It wasn't like the 80s and the early 90s when your mom's sedan or minivan was horribly ugly. You didn't want to be caught dead driving it. You wanted dad's coupe, the thing he drove on weekends, the thing he drove when he had a meeting at the office and needed to get there quick. You wanted that car. You didn't want the sedan or the wagon or the minivan. Well, a lot of people think that these days. And back at the late 2000s, BMW and Volkswagen changed that image for all of us. We're only here to talk about one of those. We're here to talk about the BMW side of that marketplace and how that marketplace is exploding now. Yes, it took almost 10 years for this market to take off, but the CUV Coupe marketplace is now exploding at the seams. It's growing faster than it could ever have imagined. And it all started with one little product, the BMW X6. Yes, the coupe profile of the crossover utility marketplace. Essentially, the X6 was just a coupe version of the X5. But hey, this little product started to change the world as we knew it. And some companies got in early. But unfortunately, it was too early for the party. Whereas the Acura ZDX entered the market, whereas today that product could survive. Back in 2010, it didn't have a fighting chance because this was a time when people are still buying sports cars. They still wanted the RSX to go boot around in and not the ZDX. But as our tastes change and our image of the automotive industry change with it, we now understand that we need a product that not only carries us, but carries us and all of our friends comfortably and easily. That is where the CUV marketplace has taken over the coupe image. We want something to look cool, look sporty, and be very versatile. The X6 did that, and BMW decided to hold on to it. Now entering 2020, the X6 is still alive, joined by its friend, the X4. Yes, the BMW X6 now has its own smaller counterpart to enter the compact ring. And why? Because this marketplace is growing. Like we said, the ZDX, and even back in the day, the Mazda CX-7 were all essentially coupe versions of regular products. The CX-7 didn't have a standard product, but it gave the image of sporty appeal to the masses. Lexus soon followed up with the RX series. Mercedes hopped in with the GLAs. Now you're starting to see it more from China, where people want coupe products, and it's a marketplace where people can only afford one vehicle. Now, North America, up until the mid-2000s, the average American driveway had 3 vehicles. You had your fun car, and mom and dad, or each spouse had their own vehicle for going back and forth to work in. One of those people had the everyday vehicle that we needed for booting around in and around town. Small little economy car or sedan that you could fit the family in for short, mediocre trips. The other person in that household held the title of family vehicle, a big burly vehicle you use to go on trips. It's when you go out of town to see grandma and grandpa. Well, nowadays we're starting to look at a product driveway of only 2 or less vehicles. And when you get into some countries like China, who are trying to curb car ownership due to the fact of pollution and congestion, a lot of people can only buy one. So what does the coupe CUV marketplace come into play here? Just like the coupe profile and sedans, the saloon models. But that marketplace was seen and utilized because people in inner city European cities only ordered one vehicle as well. They dumped their sports car and bought a coupe profile sedan. So their inner city runabout vehicle for midweek trips also became their late night cruiser for mom and dad to go out and have supper, to have a fun night out. Whereas the other spouse still had the family vehicle. But again, like I said, we're moving into China. Well, because of the population there, not everybody can afford to go out of town and go here, there, and everywhere. And they're only allowed in some cities to play the lottery to get a license plate so they can get a vehicle. One. Just one. Now, wouldn't you want a vehicle that can utilize everything in one? And that's where CUV Coupe Marketplace is starting to explode. Now, take a look at it. You got companies like Bisu, Borgward, Landwind, Wei, Zote, Dongfang, all getting into this marketplace. All have their own coupe models. Now, why are there so many coupe models in China? That is why. It's because you can only afford to get one vehicle and only allowed to get one vehicle. You have to make it work for every situation you require it for, and that's why they get it. Moving into Europe, people are getting out of cars now. They're finally making the move out of sedans and wagons and into crossover utility vehicles. While European counterparts are doing the same thing. Get the likes of Renault, Skoda, Volkswagen, Aston Martin, Porsche, Mercedes, and the original guy, BMW, all still running for a piece of that market. And since CUVs are the biggest segment in the automotive industry right now, we have to nab every single little piece of it. They've already broken out and created the active lifestyle vehicles. They have the crossover utility vehicles. Now they're entering the coupe world, but they're not entering it like sedans did years and years and years ago with 2-door version. No, they're doing it with 4. Some of them have gotten a little trickier, like the original Acura ZDX, where they hid the rear door handles in the back window to make it appear that the vehicle was only a 2-door model. So they're getting kind of smart. Not all of them are smart, but some companies are even starting to find variations within their product line. You can only find a Mazda CX-4 in China. Take a look down, you'll see a picture of it. Mazda CX-4 is essentially a cross between a CX-5 and a CX-9, but it fits the coupe marketplace. Coupes are big money right now. People want them. People want to give you the image that they have a sports car. They have something sporty. You know, all those non-automotive people be like, oh, I own a sports car, and they roll up in their Mercedes GLA. It's like, that's a sports car. A friggin' SUV that looks like a coupe. But that's what people want. want. They want the status. They want the image. All of it that comes along with owning a coupe model. Well, tons of companies are jumping into this bandwagon. Hell, even Land Rover got into it with the Evoque model. Now remember, the Evoque, when it originally came out, was only a two-door product. The four-door product followed behind it. Yes, four-door Evoque followed behind the two-door. Now, it's hard to find the two-door. This was essentially an active lifestyle vehicle. It was a off-road sporty vehicle, but it also fell into the coupe profile because essentially the Evoque was the sporty cousin of the Discovery. And where the Discovery has its own sporty version, the Evoque is essentially the coupe profile version of it. Now, like I said, back in the 80s, it was cool to have a coupe. It was cool to have a two-door model. Everybody wanted them, even though it was hard to get your friends into it. But nowadays, these kids with parents who own an X4, an X6, a Borgward X5, Lanwanzayo, Piso T7, or Renault Arcana aren't afraid to go and pick up their friends in their coupe profile CUV because it's still a coupe, which means it's cool. Yeah, you can't see the quotes I'm doing, but I'm doing quotes because they're not that cool. Yes, the Volkswagen CC was pretty cool, but it still wasn't a coupe. Neither was the Mercedes CLS. It's an amazing product that was cool to a point, but it still wasn't a two-door coupe. But as we've seen in the aftermarket world as well, people don't want two-door versions. Everybody's doing up four-door vehicles. The WRX is now a four-door as well. So a world of two doors is slowly diminishing. Even pickup trucks, two-door pickup trucks, the two-door Wrangler, they're disappearing because everybody wants to bring everybody with them. But that's also because of car ownership. There's less and less people wanting to get more than just one vehicle. My in-laws are like that. They only ever had one vehicle. I still don't understand it. I had a single father. Essentially we had two cars in our driveway. He only drove one, but we still had two. Technically three if you consider his Mustang. So I grew up with that. My freaking mother had, between her and my stepfather, there was 5 vehicles at any given point in their driveway. Why? Because you have vehicles for every different variation. You got your car going back and forth to work every single day. And then you got your weekend warriors. Then you got your workhorse. Then you got your fun car. Like, nobody does that anymore. The generations are diminishing. So, coupe profile CUVs are the answer to that. The world's biggest market, being crossover utility vehicles, would need a world's biggest counterpart for its other images. And take a look. They're also doing convertible models. Nissan Murano convertible. Land Rover Evoque convertible. Now, they're not as big and not as crazy as the coupe profiles because even the convertible models only come as 2 doors. When these people finally start to realize that you need to make 4-door versions of your coupe profiles to make them into viable convertibles, that's when we'll actually see the decrease in the convertible marketplace. But convertibles have always been deemed as an alternative vehicle, not something you need. It's something you buy when you got money. Whereas a coupe was always deemed as a necessity, as your regular day-to-day fun little car. Whereas products like the Ford Edge, Mazda CX-7 has slowly brought us into the coupe profile look of the CUV marketplace. The BMW X6 has always been there as a variation to the X5. And the CUV coupe marketplace is not going away anytime fast. No, the CUV coupe marketplace is going to be sticking around for quite a while, as the coupe profile is slowly diminishing the sales of the actual coupe product lines. Whereas even Honda has gotten rid of the Accord. Rest in peace. Yes, some of the biggest coupe models out there are diminishing. Hell, even Bentley is getting rid of their full animal Sane and replacing it with the Bentayga SUV. Whereas utility vehicles are slowly taking over most segments. They're now getting into sports cars, they're getting convertibles, coupes, they have the wagon profiles, coupe profiles. Even the coupe profile takes and gives you the image of a sedan. So what does the future have in store for us? The future has a coupe profile in store for us. So from us in the future of the automotive industry, the coupe profile is something that we will be seeing more and more of within the next couple of years. It will eventually hit its peak within 5 to 6 years' time, where everybody everywhere has it, just like the original coupe marketplace hit its peak in 1989. The fall of the 80s gave the fall to the coupe marketplace, whereas the 90s slowly saw many car companies get away from coupe products and move into more dedicated sports cars and utility vehicles. The coupe is slowly on its way out, whereas the coupe profile is slowly on its way. In the crossover utility marketplace, you can't give up on any idea you have for it because it is the biggest in the world. It is the evolution of the automobile. This is Everett J saying the coupe profile is something that will be here for a long time to come. We haven't hit the top of this market yet, but when we do, trust me, you'll know. So from all of us at AutoLooks.net, keep following all of our feeds and keep up to date with us on AutoLooks podcast. From Podbeam, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, like us to find out more of our episodes, hear all of our episodes, and to keep up to date with AutoLooks.net. So from Everett J, myself, and AutoLooks team, strap yourself in for one fun wild ride from this brand new Coupe Marketplace.